Whenever you've built a graphic that seems to be rather render intensive or processor intensive, you might want to consider actually caching that off into your cache so the computer doesn't have to constantly recompute it, or you can go ahead and pre-render that element and import it back into your project. That would swap out the stuff that the application is trying to compute with pre-rendered file, like a QuickTime or an image sequence. Now, if we look at a project here, we have a green screen key and it has several layers. If you scrub through the timeline here, you can see the green screen kind of moving around the scene. Let's say I don't want to pull this green screen again, but I don't really need to pre-render it. But I do want things to move a little more quickly. Well, I could click on layer 3 and hold down shift and click on layer 1 to select all the layers. Then let's go up under layer and choose pre-compose. This way I can isolate all those layers in their own composition. I'll call this GS pre-comp and let's click OK. Now the pre-comp layer, I can go ahead and double click to open up the pre-comp. Now I can go up under composition and choose cache work area in background. And then I'll get a progress window over here in the info panel that'll let me know whether or not that's actually been rendered. Now since it's caching in the background, we can continue working. Now if we wanted to do a pre-render, what I'll do is open this GS comp again. In here I'll go ahead and load up this footage to render by going up under composition and choose add to render queue. Now when I do that, let's click on our output module and change it to the lossless with alpha output. I want you to click on the names lossless with alpha, and in here we have a post render action just under the format pull down. So let's click on that and choose import and replace usage. Now when I click OK, I can go ahead and render the scene. When it's finished rendering this pre-composition, what it'll do is import the movie file and then swap it into our green screen composition. To show you that in action, I'm going to go ahead and just render this. I'll click render, and as it's rendering I'm going to press the caps lock key to stop it from loading any preview frames. Now notice when it's done rendering, I have a QuickTime file in my project panel. Let's double click on the green screen composition in our project panel, and now you can see it's automatically swapping out my pre-comp with a rendered. I'm going to go ahead and press caps lock again so that we can see exactly what we're dealing with. But since this is a file, I can actually scrub through things a lot more quickly. So remember, if you have complicated graphics or any other complicated builds, you can save yourself a lot of time by either caching that area so you can come back to it as you're working, or just pre-rendering the whole thing so you can bring it back in and just use it like a normal source layer.